Welcome from Sneak Kriya Foundation. Very good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all. We are here for in our financial and estate planning series, and today we are on last topic of this month's series, that is parents' checklist for appointing a suitable guardian. So we have gone through 3-4 topics. You can watch them if you missed something on YouTube. That is identifying residential needs for the child's 10-point checklist to know how much you are prepared, writing a letter of intent, and today it is a last topic for this month. So we have with us for this topic Mr. Jitendra Solanki sir. I'll briefly introduce him. He is a founder of Plan Special Needs, SEBI Registered Investment Advisor, CFP and CTF, founder and director at Special Needs Estate Planner Private Limited. So I'll not take much of a time and I would like to start. I will hand over to Jitendra sir. Welcome sir.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to talk about a topic which is on guardianship. So what is guardianship? Why guardianship is required, types of guardianship, selecting an appropriate guardian for your child, and checklist. So guardianship is very important because who's going to manage your child affairs after you is a decision which parents have to make. And that's why appointing a guardianship is important. But more than that, who should be that guardian and what kind of qualities you should look at, uh, that is much more important because you are appointing a guardian for managing special child affairs, and if the guardian is unaware of, then and he or she is not aware of the requirements of a special child, then probably he might not be able to fulfill the responsibility. And that's why understanding what kind of qualities you should look at in a guardian, that is important. Now, what is guardianship? What is it actually? So it's a court-approved legal relationship between a competent adult and a minor or adult with a disability or other incapacitated person. It gives the guardian a defined degree of authority and duty to act on behalf of the ward in making decisions affecting the ward's life. So actually, it's a legal process. Guardianship is a legal process. We are saying it's a court-approved. Yes, it's a court-approved legal relationship where an adult, competent adult, it can be a guardian, there can be limited guardianship. He or she takes up a responsibility of a minor or an adult with a disability. And the guardian will have a defined degree of authority. So guardian is authorized to make decisions on ward's behalf, and within the limitations you have defined the guardian to be appointed. Now, why guardianship may be required? First of all, understand why at all you require appointing a guardian. So any person, he might have assets, or he or she cannot adequately manage. So someone is needed to be sure the assets are secure and used for intended purpose. So you might have assets where you are you are not able to manage it adequately, uh, say in case of incapacitation. So you need a guardian, somebody else, to to keep these assets secure and used for the purpose which you want. The person needs medical care or other services that will not be provided unless there is a clear understanding about person's legal capacity to consent to treatment or services. So in case of medical care or any other services, right, which you are not able to take on, or there is no clear understanding about your legal capacity, there you might require a guardian to take decision on your behalf. Health and service providers are becoming more concerned about liabilities when providing services to someone who may not have capacity to make an informed consent. uh, it's from the point of view of, say, hospitals, service providers, healthcare service providers. They are more concerned now specifically for providing services to any person who might not have any capacity to make any decision. For example, a special child, so any healthcare, residential care or service providers, they are more concerned, that they are taking a liability of a person who cannot take a decision. So they need somebody who can take decision in any kind of situation on their behalf. And parents or sibling cannot get access to important records or provide other help without guardianship. So it does happen that and we have seen in last 2 years also situations where you are incapacitated, then somebody else will not have, cannot access to records or for the financial help you want, because you are the only person and you are an adult, and somebody else cannot access your record without your approval. Now you are not in a situation where you can write a power of attorney. So you need a guardian who can access to your records, and that's why guardianship is required. An individual with mental retardation or any other disability may require an advocate help, someone who has a legal status or relationship to that person. So these are situations where a guardianship or a guardian, appointing a legal guardian, becomes essential. And these are real life situations. Last 2 years we have faced many situations where the person is incapacitated, nobody is able to access the records because nobody does have any kind of guardianship, and they have to approach the court to seek access to those assets from where they are going to pay the financial care of the person. So there are 3 types of guardianship which every parent will come across in their life. One is natural. Parents are considered natural guardian of child till 18 years of age. So till your child is minor, till he reaches 18 years of age, you are considered a natural guardian. Because you are considered a natural guardian, you don't have to seek any kind of guardianship certificate for that. Guardianship appointed by court. If no one is available, then court appoints the administrator for managing child affairs till suitable guardian is identified. Now, these are the situations where you have not appointed any guardian. Then it's the court who appoints an administrator till the child get a suitable guardian. So it ends up in the court process for appointing a guardian. Testamentary guardian, a guardian appointed through will, for example, for minor children or for your special child. These are the types of guardianship, and all these guardianship you will come across in your situation. Natural guardian, you are there, you have this guardianship till your child is minor. Testamentary guardian is a guardian when you are appointing through will. Guardianship appointed by court. Now this is a situation where if you do not appoint, then the court will appoint. Now largely in this guardianship appointed by court, so that also happens with all the families, all the parents of a special need child, because when you are seeking a guardianship for your child once he turns 18, then that is actually you are seeking a guardianship by the court. We will look at what is the process for that. So, but all these are 3 types of guardianship which every family should know and they will face in their life. Legal guardianship, what does it actually do? So for managing bank accounts, you need a legal guardianship. For your special child, managing his bank accounts, managing his investments, for loans or concessions, availing that, to protect interest in legal cases, and managing financial affairs like buying properties, filing ITR, seek approval for business, and many others. For all these processes, for all making a decision on all these, you need a legal guardianship. Once in case of minority, it never happens because you are a natural guardian. So you make decision for your child in all these matters. You don't have to prove to anyone that you are a legal guardian. But as far as once the child turns 18, then you have to seek a legal guardianship in making decision in all these affairs, managing child bank accounts, managing his investment, for availing any loans or concessions on his behalf, to protect interest in legal cases if any, or managing a financial affairs like buying properties, filing ITR for your adult child. You still need a legal guardianship or seek approval for any kind of business. That's where legal guardianship is required. Selecting a guardian, how do you select a legal guardian? Is guardian critical for child with special needs? It's a very critical decision, one of the important decision of your life, because you are going to leave affairs of your child with somebody whom you have appointed as a guardian. It's a difficult decision because identifying that right person who knows about your child or who can manage your child affairs, understanding his financial requirement is what you have to identify. And many a times identifying such a person is a difficult decision. Parents needs to decide. You need to decide before. Don't leave it to the law to decide who is going to be the guardian. And guardianship is a lifelong commitment of caring. So you are not looking a guardian for 48 hours or probably 4 days of guardianship, but you are looking at somebody who can give a lifelong commitment of caring for your child. And designate guardian within will. Don't designate, don't leave guardianship open, but the moment you are writing a will, or for even for appointing a guardian, you should write a will. But look at how do you identify who is the right guardian, before you appoint a guardian, you should seek answers to certain questions which will help you identify a guardian. So do I want my child to stay in his community, and is the guardian willing to move here if she doesn't already live here? So if the child is staying, will he stay in the community, and will the guardian travel, or is he or she is willing to move here if the guardian is not living maybe in the city where the child is? Does the guardian have experience dealing with people with special needs? Generally we identify within family members. Okay, so but still having a family member who have got an uh, connection, who is aware about special needs is important. How does the guardian interact with my child specifically? So how will the guardian interact with your child? Because that's important. After you, it's the guardian who will be connected to your child. So how does he or she interact with your child? In what manner, and whether the child is comfortable in his or her presence. It's what you should look at. Does the guardian have too much going on his own life to care for a child, especially one with special needs? Now you need to look at, if the guardian is too much busy in his life, would he or she be able to care for your child if required? Does the guardian have children? How old are they, and can the guardian take on another child? So that's also important, that if a family, you are appointing somebody from a family, how many children he has, his family, his commitment towards your child, is it going to happen? How old is the guardian? Do I have a backup in case he can't serve? So if your guardian says no, I cannot take that responsibility, what option you have? And does the guardian share my values about things like religion, education, and finances? So guardian also need to have same values like you have for your child, with your child. If the guardian does not have values, does not have vision for your child, and how he or she is going to make a commitment for lifelong care, which can be as good as 30-40 years of your child life? So when you are appointing a guardian, look for certain qualities. What are those? Live relatively close to the ward, though we say it should be looked at, but many a times it is difficult. The guardian might be in another city, but then if it is so, then you can need to look at that, how frequently he or she can travel, to communicate with your child. Have enough time to assist this person and carry out the legal responsibilities. So guardian should have enough time of his own to assist your child and carry out the legal responsibility. Be willing to learn about new programs for people with mental retardation and related development disabilities. So in your child with disability, the legal guardian also need to learn like you have learned. He should be aware. It's not that once you have left your child to a residential care, then legal guardian will only come and sign documents, or come once in a while. But he also need to learn about your child, with this special child, because then only he or she would be able to take a decision when it is required. Be willing to adapt to changing circumstances. If circumstances change, your child have to be shifted to another city, or other any other circumstances which comes in, the legal guardian should be able to adapt to that. Have good property management skill if he or she is guardian of the estate. Now this is important because many a times we as a family look at that the guardian will manage the estate also, the properties also. So if you are leaving the child assets or the properties to in his guardianship, then you need to look at what skills he have to manage those assets. It can be a good value of assets which he is going to manage. It can be good number of properties. So you need to look at whether the guardian can manage those assets. So these are certain qualities you need to look at when you are appointing a guardian for your child. And without these qualities, we don't say that guardian has to be a good expert in all the matters, but at least he should be aware. He should be aware how things have to be done. If he is not good in managing assets or managing good value of assets, but he should be knowing how he can get this work done. He should be able to have a quality to hire a advisor, and should be able to ask the right question to an advisor. So hiring a right advisor will become important. So does the guardian have those skills? So when you are looking at qualities, look at certain some of these. I said you can't look at all of these. You can't find a guardian with all of these qualities, but at least he has those qualities where you can be comfortable that he or she can manage your child affairs. Where to apply? Now, generally, in few disabilities which are covered under National Trust Act, so they have an LLC set up, local level committee set up. They manage appointment of legal guardianship. So you can apply on their website online, and they will take care of the process. LLC will invite you for a assessment, and after that assessment, the legal guardianship certificate will be issued. But wherever LLC is not available, generally you apply at an SDM office of the locality. They will have the same format. They will have a form to fill up. They will do the assessment, and they will give you the legal guardianship certificate. Duties of appointment of guardian: maintenance and residential care of the person with disability, management of immovable property of person with disability, management of movable properties, and any other obligation to be performed, taking into account the facts and circumstances of case of PWD. So if you look at, a legal guardian has to manage both personal and financial affairs. So if there are assets in the name of the child, the legal guardian has to manage those assets also. And they also have to look at the personal affairs, so maintenance and residential care of person. So the guardian will decide, the guardian has to look at where the child is going to get a good care, and he has to take a decision on the residential care also if you have not been able to take that. But even if you have decided, the legal guardian has to look at that he is getting a good care, the child is getting a good care in the residential home, you have decided. If not, then the guardian has to decide where else the child is can get a good care. So legal guardian has to manage the personal affairs, much like you have been managing as a parent of the child, and much like you have been managing the assets of the child, the guardian will also have to manage the assets of the child. Obligation. Now, what are the legal obligation of a legal guardian? What he cannot do, what he can do. So he has not to make profit out of his appointment. He should not be looking at as a profitable opportunity. Must look after the ward sincerely and diligently. So as I said, it's a legal responsibility. That's why it's called a legal guardian. It's a legal responsibility, and they have to perform that responsibility seriously. So they have to look after the ward sincerely and diligently, and deal with property as a man of ordinary prudence would do for the welfare of person with disability. They should not mortgage, sell, lease, exchange, or transfer without the permission of LLC obtained in this behalf. So now this is a well drafted obligations of National Trust, that if a legal guardian has to sell out the properties or do anything with the property, they have to take a permission of local level committee. And they have to see that interest of the ward as well as that of his property is well secured and protected. So a guardian has to look at the future, look at the lifetime of the child, much like you have been deciding. The same way the legal guardian also has to decide. He has to see that the properties he is managing can serve the interest of the ward and does not take advantage of disability of the ward to his own advantage. Now, when you apply a legal guardianship through a national trust, then there is a Form C which is filled within 6 months of your appointment, and that is the details of balance sheet of your of the child. And then every year they have to submit account of property and assets to the national trust, and it is within a period of 3 months of close of every financial year. So if you look at, then guardian has to submit the details of all the assets they have been managing, and they can always be question asked if it is found, that the responsibility has no, the legal guardian has not taken up the responsibility well. So there is a kind of a monitoring process which is being set up by the national trust on the legal guardian. Now, removal of legal guardian, local level committees have powers to remove legal guardian, and a legal guardian can be removed if he is, she is abusing or neglecting the ward, misappropriating or neglecting the property of the ward in his charge. So if you look at the local level committees under national trust, they have been given powers to remove legal guardian. I would say their powers are just below the court. Now they cannot decide, they are not a decision authority, much like a court, but they have powers to remove legal guardian if they found that the legal guardian has not been managing, has not been shouldering his responsibility well. Alternative to guardianship, what you can look at, if there's an alternative to guardianship, joint ownership of assets, setting up trust or state laws. Though I am saying is an alternative to guardianship, but it's not an alternative, because trust will manage the financial affairs, but you will still need legal guardian to manage the personal affairs. Joint ownership of assets, generally parents feel that this is an alternative to a guardianship by giving a joint ownership, but joint ownership is a different concept. Though in joint ownership, after you the other joint holder will manage the assets, but they have their own limitations. Every alternative has these limitations, especially when it comes to managing the personal affairs. Then the legal guardianship is required, and that's why you will have to look at somebody being appointed as a legal guardian, because you can shift financial affairs to maybe a trust or to any other alternative, but when it comes to managing personal affairs, the legal guardianship will always be required. For example, let's say there is a health emergency and the hospital has to decide something. They will seek a signature of somebody who can decide on the child behalf. Now that's only the legal guardian can do, and that's where the legal guardianship would be important. So a checklist. So when you are appointing a legal guardian, look at these. This is a checklist for every parent to considering when they are considering appointment of a legal guardian. Do you wish to have a separate guardian for personal and financial affairs? If yes, have you considered co-guardianship? Means if you want a separate guardian for personal or financial affairs, okay, have you looked at appointing both the guardians? Is your identified guardian aware of your child need? If not, how do you intend to make him aware? Let's say your guardian does not know so much about your child requirements. How you can make the legal guardian aware about your child requirements, or what to do, what not to do, what circumstances can come in. And that's where letter of intent is a very helpful document in this situation. Does your identified guardian know what changes they will have to bring in their life once they take responsibility? So your identified guardian should be aware that he or she will have to make changes in his own life, because they are going to be responsible for your child affairs. For example, your child is in a different city, the guardian is in a different city, then they will have to do a lot of traveling. So there is going to be a changes in their lifetime, the way they have been managing it now. Have you considered identify guardian as guardian of sibling also? So if there are siblings, are you appointing the same guardian for both? Suppose something happens to you, then and if both the children are minor, is the same guardian going to look after both the child, especially their assets also? Where will your child live once the guardian takes your role? So that's important. Where will both they reside? How guardian will be paid for the cost they incur while managing the child affairs? So you need to make a provision for uh, financing guardian for the cost he will incur for managing your child affairs. Where is that finance is going to come? You know, whether you have demarcated any specific assets for that, or you are going to leave something to the guardian. So you need to decide how this cost is going to be paid. Is your identified guardian a family member, friend, relative, or an institution? If guardian is known to you, then how your child respond to this person? Comfortability of your child with the legal guardian is important. It shouldn't happen that your child has seen your legal guardian only once or twice in life, and suddenly he sees the legal guardian as an important person in his life because you are not there tomorrow. Then how the comfortability will come in? So you have to look at that comfortability factor when you are appointing your guardian for your child. So that's it about the legal guardian, and it's a very important decision because, as I said, there is laws related to it. You do not want everything to be left on the legal decisions. It's better that parents make the decision, they decide, and then they make provisions for their child future. And legal guardianship is one of the important provision they have to make, especially for the deciding on the personal affairs of for the child. Sometimes it might be dealing with the financial affairs also.
Yes, sir. Uh, can we start with the questions in chat box, sir?
Yes.
Yes. First question is, can good friend can be appointed as a guardian?
You need to have a very specific reasons. If blood relatives are not available, family members are not available, or they are not willing to do, then probably you would be able to appoint them. But as I said, even when court will look at or LLC will look at appointing a legal guardian, your friend as a legal guardian, there has to be substantial reason why you want to do so. Even if your family members are available, why you want to appoint as a friend?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Other question is, can there be two guardians, brother and sister of the ward?
You can look at appointing two guardian, but then what uh, purpose it will solve? I mean, if you are looking at that they both are going to look after your ward, they will make decision jointly, and they will provide, I mean, they will be both be the legal guardian, but they both would be, I think more than that, it's an alternative. If you look at alternative might be a good one. uh, Especially it also depends on what kind of a care you are looking at. Sometimes the children are in residential care, then appointing two guardians might not be fruitful. So yes, if blood relatives are there, two guardians, yes, LLCs have appointed two guardians also. That can be done, but you also look at what objective will it meet. But yes, LLCs have appointed even both the parents as a legal guardian of the child. So you can appoint in your will that both brother and sister would be the guardian of the child. But you also need to look at that how decision making would happen. That's what you need to look at, and that's you have to make clear in the will that how decision making for your child would happen if both are them going to be guardians. Because it shouldn't happen, or that suppose, as I said, for giving an example, any health emergency, and so both are appointed as a guardian, both have to sign. Without both consent, things cannot move. How those situations will be handled? So you need to look at, and For that, I'll probably, the legal profession would be best to answer.
Okay, that's I mean something that we have to think about. Yeah, we'll move to the next question, sir. Can multiple people be guardians at the same time with specific different responsibilities? Yes, it's just a separate questions. I mean, where you mentioned no that some part can be taken care of by other guardian, and some part can be taken by. Is it possible?
It's a bit difficult, because if you are saying somebody, I mean, for financial affairs, for personal affairs, you can have, different guardians. So you can say, one guardian will manage only the financial affairs, one guardian will decide on the personal affairs. But within financial affair, if you say somebody is going to manage property, somebody is going to manage a bank account, that might be, difficult. So it's personal and financial separating out, would be a wiser option, but may not be, within certain responsibilities you want to separate out, dividing within that, or you can have one person with limited guardianship, one with full guardianship. So you have those options if when you are appointing in your will. But as I said, these are very very specific, and I might not have the complete information, with respect to the legalities around this.
Okay. Next question is, can someone oversee the function of a guardian?
So generally it's because guardians are appointed by a court. So it's difficult, to appoint somebody who can oversee the function of a guardian. But yes, the way it can structure is that when you have a trust for managing the financial affairs, okay, then the trust and guardian can work in jointly, and sometimes, becomes, each other's, overseeing the affairs of each other's responsibilities. But in case of National Trust, LLC is overseeing the function with respect, but they are just taking the information, there is no authority which oversees, on a day-to-day affairs. Like even LLC have that monitoring process where they are just taking information on details on the assets in the name of the child. And unless and until there is a complaint raised, or they see some variation in the assets, they might not act upon. So on day-to-day basis, there is no, overseeing. Yes, if you want to create, maybe I won't have the complete information, but maybe with the help of a trust, you might be able to create that.
Okay. We'll move to other question. When parents are alive, no other can be appointed as a legal guardian?
Yes, generally it is the case, and the legal standing is also there that when parents are alive, nobody else can appoint as guardian unless and until there is a very specific situation where parents cannot take the responsibility of the child due to health reasons or due to certain other reasons. So if anybody else, go seeking a guardianship, even if the parents are alive, they have to prove that parents cannot, take the responsibility because of certain reasons, and the reasons has to be accepted by the court, or by the National Trust, LLC of National Trust. It can happen, but within the, family, within the blood relatives, provided there is a reason where parents are, not actually able to care for the child. But if they are able to care for the child, LLC generally don't give guardianship to anybody else. That's, has been experienced, and even the court will also not give, as I said, unless and until it's a very very specific situation which says that parents, cannot care for the child because of maybe health issues or any other reason.
Okay. What
But
happened?
let me clear
Yeah.
it out. Let me clear it out. Legal guardianship is given by the court. Okay. I think whatever I am saying, it totally depends on the court decision, what court will decide. I am saying with my experience and with my awareness, but this is a, the legal situation, and a legal situation and the decision rests with the court. So anything you are asking or I'm answering, it's with my experience or within my knowledge, but end of the day, I think it's the court or an LLC by the National Trust appointed, they will decide whether this situation can happen or not.
Okay, that means, sir, if we appoint, I mean, somebody as a legal guardian, that has to be approved by court.
Not in the will, not in the will.
Will,
Because
okay.
will is a valid legal document. Now, even in the will, if you are appointing somebody else, though your family members are still there, suppose their close family members, the sibling is also there, but you are appointing somebody else, you need to have a very valid reason why you are doing so. Okay, suppose why sibling was not appointed. Now it becomes a valid reason because sibling is residing abroad, he's an NRI, so he cannot be appointed as a legal guardian. That's a very valid reason. So the reason has to be strong enough to ensure the legality of that situation.
Okay, okay. Next question is, what happens in a situation if you don't have family and friends are not willing? Friends are also not willing. What to do in this situation?
Okay, it's very difficult to answer, because if your family friends are not doing, probably somebody from parents community can come in. Okay, you might be able to appoint them as a legal guardian of your ward, if so. Now coming to residential care NGOs, there is a provision in National Trust where NGOs registered with National Trust can take up the legal guardianship. The only thing is that I have not come across any of these now where NGOs is taking up the legal guardianship, but there is a provision. So tomorrow a residential care, being an NGO registered with National Trust, want to take up a legal guardianship of a child, they can do so, but the National Trust will have to approve it. So there is a provision in that case, but I don't think it has taken off yet in India, and the still development has to be done in that area. But answering your question, if no family member, no friends are are willing, it's a very difficult question to answer, because you will have to identify someone as a legal guardian to take certain decision. Maybe I'm not sure, we'll have to look at with legal framework that how trust can come in, whether the trust can come in to certain extent. Still a legal guardian would be required. For example, the health emergency situation, I think any support system, this there is a talk going on in certain groups where I see where they want to have a support system where the legal guardian is not available. Now those are legalities, still have to be worked out. The changes in the act has to be done. I think maybe in the future you might have a solution for this situation, but as of now there is only one provision which is there with National Trust, but still it has to take off.
Okay, so difference in role of guardian and trustee. What points take care for appoint a trustee as well? It seems role of guardian and trustee are overlapping.
No, guardian and trustee will never overlap, because guardian trustee cannot manage the personal affairs. They cannot decide on the personal affairs. Trustee can manage only those things which is there in the trust. Trust does not do any personal affair decision. It do only financial affairs. That too only of assets which are there in the trust. So trustee will only limited. Trustee role is very limited to only making decision on the asset which are there in the trust. Compared to this, guardian is a full-fledged responsibility. Guardian can decide on the personal affairs of the child. Yes. Oh, one second. Just a second. Okay. So the guardian, the overlapping is coming in the financial affairs. Now the financial affairs also, guardian cannot take a decision on the trust asset. Guardian will take a decision only on the asset which are there, with the ward. It cannot do anything with the trust. Okay. But yes, to certain extent, the overlapping will not come in. Overlapping will come in when guardian is and trustee both are same. So the legal guardian also managing the assets in the name of the child, and he is also deciding on the assets in the trust. There it might be an overlapping, but otherwise the role is not going to overlap because the responsibilities are separate altogether.
Okay, next question is, who can help us if we need some clarification or help in future? Any lawyer can help us.
Okay, you can write. So our company deal in legal aspects, specifically related to special children families. I am just writing the email ID info@specialneedestateplanners.com. So you can write to us and we will help you out, answering your queries and working on the legal aspects.
Yes, thank you so much for many clarifications. Still, if somebody need have any question, they can unmute and ask or raise their hand. One more question.
In that case, court might take over as guardianship if no other is willing to take over as guardian. Court will not take a guardianship. Court will appoint an administrator till the court identifies some guardian for the child. Court will never take a guardianship role.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes, Ashok Shah, sir. Please unmute yourself.
My voice is coming? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
My speakers are on my head. The thing is, like you said, the court can remove the local level committee or court can remove the guardianship if they find something fishy with the guardian or something like that. Initially, the National Trust appoints only the parents as a guardian. Still, the local level committee can remove the parent as from the guardianship. That is one question. If the somebody else is appointed as a guardian, which has been informed to the National Trust, if later on they find that this guardian is not doing the job properly, who will appoint the next guardian in that case?
Okay, so as I said, one second, just there is a disturbance from my side.
Sir, you are on mute.
Okay, am I clear now? My voice is clear?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. See, if LLC remove a guardian, LLC will remove, a guardian in case of, any situations which is written down if that happens. Now, identifying a next guardian. So generally in the court process, what happens is that court appoints an administrator and then they look at identifying a new guardian for the child, right? And they are approached then they approach different authorities to look at a suitable guardian or so in the court process there will all and see the court has a decision to appoint a legal guardian beyond of what you have looked at, even beyond the family members. The court can appoint, and they can also appoint an institution also, right? So what question you asked, that if LLC remove a guardian, then who is going to appoint a new guardian? Yes, if the court has that, I am not aware of whether LLC has the powers and whether the matter will go to the court. But it's as far as court is concerned, generally what my view is, that the court will look at appointing a guardian or will give responsibility to someone to look at identify guardian and then final appointing them as a guardian. So much like the cases you see, where court in their presence, they come out with a process of doing something and then they give a final approval of that. Okay, similar way, court will look at appointing a guardian, and they will give responsibility to someone to look at a suitable guardian for the ward. That's my view. Otherwise a legal professional would be happy to answer. But I think with my experience I can say the court will they do generally appoint an administrator till the time they identify a guardianship, and they give somebody else, they give a responsibility to look at a guardian for the ward, and once they identify, the court will give them the guardianship.
Yeah, okay. I hope that answers your question, sir. Yeah. Any other questions from the parents? Can't hear you. Is somebody unmuted? Okay, just yeah. I think no questions, sir. That I think we can wrap up for the day.
Yes, I think we can wrap up, if there are no more questions.
Yes.
If anybody has any question, they can write to my organization and we will be happy to answer on these.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, sir. I mean,
but one caveat, though I have answered it, I am not a legal person to go deep and answer into legal guardianship provisions. So always seek a legal help in these matters. We are an estate planner. We will help you out, but by seeking support from the legal professionals. But ensure that whenever you are looking at these decisions, you take and help of a legal expert. Don't depend on what we are answering this, because anything which is related to legal, will there is no straightforward answer to it, and especially in those matters where the court will have to decide. This a court have to decide. They can decide on certain aspects. So it's better to take a legal help. So in case of legal guardianship, national trust has been given provision in certain aspect, but beyond national trust, it's final the court, which decides.
yes, yes, true, sir. Okay. Fine. Thank you so much, sir. I mean,
Thank you.
many aspects are clear on this guardianship. I hope we will meet in July series. Every Friday we have planned for these sessions. For now, we will take a leave. Thank you so much for joining all the parents, and thank you so much, Jitendra sir.
Thank you. Thank you. See you in July.
See you. Okay, bye bye, everyone.